And we're naked.
And we are naked. All right.
We would get tons of viewers that way.
Right? All 5 of them.
our entire nudecast. Welcome to the TVTV Nudecast.
The TVTV. You know what sucks about this? The true thing that sucks about me hosting this?
What?
I can't just set it to be my screen so I can look at myself.
Oh, true. That must be rough. Because I think I can look at me as much as I want, which is wonderful.
You can.
Yeah. But so yeah, I think welcome to this different part of the TVTV podcast. If you listen to the Very TV podcast, first of all, thank you. Second of all, yes, thank you. We appreciate it. But second of all, this is the community TVTV Rewatch that we're going to be doing. We're going to be going through the entirety of our beloved NBC sitcom Community.
Yeah.
In anticipation for the 6th season now coming to Yahoo, so it is no longer an NBC sitcom.
Mm-hmm.
So every week we're going to go through 2 episodes, unless we need to double up even more. But we're going to go through 2 episodes from the beginning, so you can watch along with us. You can tell us about it. You can email us, and we'll read comments on the show. And we'll just kind of talk about the 2 episodes and sort of track the growth of the show and the growth of our obsession with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for the first episode, we're going to do episodes 1 and 2, which are Pilot and Spanish 101. So if you have not watched those episodes recently, stop what you are doing, go watch them. We will wait.
Waiting.
Still waiting. And we're back. So yeah, if once you watch those, come back and listen, because we're going to fully talk about anything that happens in them. This will always be spoiler-filled for the deep mythology of Community. And so we'll go through 2 episodes a week in as full detail as we can. So yeah, I think we'll start off with the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Probably makes sense.
Start off with the first episode. Yeah, that makes sense.
Crazy. I know, it's weird. Which is now directed by Captain America directors Anthony Russo and Joe Russo. But yes, yeah,
cool.
they're one of the main directors of the whole show.
Oh yeah, no, I knew that, but I didn't know that they were in Captain America actually.
Yeah, they directed the latest Winter Soldier.
Nice.
Anyway, we'll leave that for our Winter Soldier cast.
Yeah.
But now, so yeah, the pilot starts off. I think the first thing when I was watching both this and the second episode that struck me was how different some things are, like just how incredibly
crazy different.
But also how you see the beginnings of things that become Community mainstays.
Definitely, that's exactly what I was gonna say. That there's so much that changes, but you see the same things that become staple for the series as a whole. Like Jeff's speech, he does one. Yeah.
The speech is probably the most clearly Community thing that exists from the pilot onward.
Yeah.
Is the Jeff speech that kind of wraps everything up.
You know the biggest change. What was what was the first thing you noticed that was the hugest?
So for me, one of the biggest changes, I do want to say I thought it was interesting because you do hear Abed say "cool" or cool once in the
cool.
Yeah, which is great because it clearly wasn't meant to be his thing at that point. As it this early, which I love.
I want to say it's even a Danny Pudi thing. He might have added it himself.
Yeah, it feels like just kind of a quick little insert. The things that I think I noticed that were most different for me were Britta.
Right there. That's what I was thinking too.
Britta is so different, which I knew she changes throughout the show, but I forgot just how different she is.
I forgot too.
But
and
again,
I watched it and I was like, wow, I thought I was Britta when I first saw the show, and now it'd be you wouldn't catch me dead saying that.
Yeah, you'd be Brittaing everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, you start to see bits of her in Spanish 101, which we can get to in a little bit. But in the pilot, she's so much playing the straight female lead.
The straight
romantic interest.
Yeah, exactly. Romantic interest up the ass, by the way.
Yeah,
let's talk about that. It's like a rom-com, the first 2 episodes.
Oh yeah. Especially I think as we'll go on, because I watched it most of the first season recently, but you'll see that's a really big focus of the show, which is hilarious because romance then becomes so trivial.
Yeah, not to go too into it, but I'm a huge nerd about this. I watched the commentaries, and Dan Harmon even spoke about how he was like, is this becoming too much of The Office? Is he basically just becoming a huge Jim and she's Pam, and they were trying to avoid that, and that's basically why everything flips on its head.
Yeah, it
becomes too rom-com-y.
Which is all to the show's credit, it ends up going that way because these episodes are definitely not as funny as the show gets to be.
I was
Um,
gonna say that the second episode is pretty, how do you say, lackluster.
oh yeah, yeah. I think the second, I thought the pilot it's stronger than I remember it being. Um,
Pilot was great.
I remember the reception to it actually when it came out was kind of lukewarm too. But looking back
Majority of the series, life.
but I mean, even like critically, like now critics kind of like have come around to it. At least some have. But
Hmm.
definitely the pilot, I feel like it didn't receive the attention it probably deserves. Because looking back on it, I think really the only time I laugh out loud at it is when they're all whispering behind Jeff's back, and Abed looks and he's like,
Am I dead?
"Am I deaf? Can you hear me? What's
Yeah.
going on?" That's a really good joke.
I still love. I was actually gonna start the podcast. I forgot to, but I was gonna say, "Hey GD, JD, GD, hey JD, how you doing? And is God dead?"
Oh yeah, the not liking small talk.
Yeah, I love that because again, that just goes back to me being like, "I'm so Brita." Oh my God.
But that also does play into the show's sort of being really self-aware. I think even from the beginning of what it is.
Yes,
Um,
there's that scene which I thought was really funny and a total nod at viewers like me and you, where Jeff goes to that lunch lady and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I've just grown up on television, so I think that every older woman is really wise."
but so that part that's really interesting to me, and I want to talk about that because Jeff in the beginning, and especially it'll pop up a few more times in the first few episodes. He is the TV obsessed one.
He is. He totally is.
Like,
Because him and Abed, which is probably why they became friends. He was like
ye-
able to pinpoint all of Abed's references.
yeah, well, because Abed even starts out much less than he obviously becomes. But yeah, like Jeff was supposed to be, and I've heard interviews about it. I don't know if it's in the commentary, but Jeff was supposed to be like the pop culture bred one, and he
Hmm.
was going to do that. But then as he started writing the characters, Dan Harmon realized that like Jeff is supposed to be more of like the just like general sort of lead that you expect in a show, and it didn't really fit him. And he realized his personality was much more towards Abed,
Yeah.
with that like need to like fixate on things and like really get into them.
I
Um,
think it's like Dan Harmon is both Jeff and Abed. Like he
yeah,
split up himself into those two characters.
and
He
I
says that the entire premise of Community is him and his college friends and how he found this like sort of family during his college years that and he gained nothing from these people and that's kind of like where he put the story because Jeff becomes huge friends with these people but he gains nothing from them whereas
yeah
he's lived his entire life just taking from people taking
yeah
only being in relationships that gave.
exactly yeah. And I think it's funny because you do see sort of Dan Harmon in both of them, and I understand the especially in the beginning the want to put yourself in like the attractive male lead. Like as
Exactly.
the creator, it's like if you're asking, like, of course
Oh, okay.
I want Joel McHale, and but I think he realized more and more that like, oh, like my personality is like more attuned to Abed, so let me really focus on it.
Exactly.
And I think that's why Abed became so beloved because he was so much of Dan Harmon speaking to everyone.
Not that Jeff loses his like
No,
pop cultureness because he
no,
still is, but
but
yeah,
he takes
it's
on
you
other.
could totally see it. You could
Yeah,
see that he was like about to be what Abed becomes. When he was
exactly.
done.
Yeah, and I do think another thing that's funny about the makeup of the study group, it's because I think this was also said in an interview once, like the way they're seating, they're
Mhm.
seating,
Mhm.
that word.
Seated.
Yes, that word, is how they originally wanted to like pair the characters up to make them sort of friend groups,
Annie and
and
Shirley, really?
yeah, Annie and Shirley, and then
Abed
Abed and Britta,
and
and
Britta
so originally Troy and Pierce were supposed
Pierce.
to be like the close friends. Um,
Wow, interesting.
yeah, Troy and Abed ended up being friends after Spanish 101, which we'll get into in a second. But in the
Right.
beginning, the original concept was that it was going to be Pierce and Troy because they're so different.
Right.
Um,
Which I guess in later seasons you kind of see that happening.
Yeah, they still like. I mean, he moves in with him in a later
Yeah,
season.
exactly.
But
But that's really, yeah, that's interesting because the first episode, I think it is, kind of has that moment where Jeff turns around and he's like, yeah, well, you have Asperger's. And then the only people that laugh at that are Troy and
and
Pierce.
Pierce, yeah, it was very much a like point of like trying to get them together. But
Hmm.
yeah, and I was surprised how much they like blatantly just go like, you have Asperger's in the first episode.
That one, yeah,
Um,
that one, I remember it causing a lot of issues. Like a lot of people in forums and stuff, they were like, how dare you make fun of Asperger's?
yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, like they do end up kind of pretty much insinuating that Abed has some mental sort of thing going on, but I was surprised they mentioned that so directly in the first episode.
The funniest thing is that, well, see, that's the thing. another thing that I noticed, they like blatantly explain each of these characters.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah,
first scene when Dean's like, for high school dropouts, or like,
yeah.
they literally explain everything. Annie and Troy have this exchange where they give off the entire backstory between the two of them.
Their total exposition, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is always happens in pilots. There's a clunkiness, but yeah, you can really tell it at points.
The funny thing is about like the show as a whole is that I think Abed's like the least fucked up one.
Oh yeah, no, that's always the funny sort of running thing to me. It's like he has the weird, like the most outlandish reaction to things.
But he's so self-aware, and he's like, he's down to earth.
Yeah, like he actually gets it. It's just
Yeah.
everyone assumes he
He gets that
doesn't.
he's weird.
But he gets it, and he relates everything to TV, so people are like, "Oh, he's weird." But it's like, no, he just gets it.
Yeah, that's just his way of doing it.
Which
Yeah.
is why I love him so much.
He's so in tune to people, and the coolest thing that I realize is that like he meets people and he automatically knows them. He's like, well,
Yeah.
I only spoke to her for 5 minutes, but blah, blah, blah,
Here's a
blah,
deal.
blah.
Yeah. And I also like his, I do like the Bender family speech from The Breakfast
Yeah.
Club that he pulls out, which is a good bit. I forgot John Oliver was in the show this early.
Yeah, and I thought it kind of sucked that Chang wasn't. I was like, wow, Chang comes into the second episode.
In episode
Wow.
2, yeah. But I love Ian Duncan so much. Like, I wish he was in the show more. I liked that season 5 had him more
Yeah, he
often.
came in a lot more in season 5 with good
Yeah.
reason. He's a great character.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see how much he's involved going forward because of the HBO show, but...
Right.
Uh,
Shame if we lose more of his character. I really like him. I think he's a pretty good. Whenever he's playing off of Jeff, at least. I don't like that they started making him go after. Was it Britta?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there in 6 seasons.
Yeah, and the movie. But can you hear me?
Hello? Yeah, that was
Hi.
weird.
Yep, we just had a glitch.
All right.
Sorry about that. What was I saying? Oh yeah, just their talk about moral relativism.
Mhm.
I thought like the way they play off each other and that is really funny, and just with like the car and having to trade that for the answers.
Yeah, and I love that if I keep talking, like if I keep speaking for long enough, then I can make anything right or wrong. Like,
Exactly.
The first episode sets Jeff up perfectly. Like they knew who that character was gonna be right from the beginning.
Yeah, I think we see so many of them change, but Jeff is easily the most well-formed one, other than how they pull back the pop culture stuff. He's pretty much him from the show going forward.
Abed too, kind of. Troy completely changes. Annie changes, but Annie changes because she develops. I don't think she changes.
Yeah, we don't see Annie really much in the first episode. Neither Shirley. Like we get a little
Shirley
bit.
Neither, yeah. Pierce, I think, changes as well. He becomes less this guy that's just trying really hard to be cool, and more of this like complete asshole.
yeah, and of course the Dean.
The Dean, right from the
totally
beginning,
different.
is fabulous.
He's fabulous, but he is not to the extent that.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's because they need to give him more screen time. Like,
Oh yeah.
I can't wait for the episode where we see Dean come out, like just out there.
Figuratively and literally.
No, I meant to, I meant to literally. The day that it doesn't even need to be explicitly said. He's so into Jeff.
It's
that
just so
like,
yeah.
okay.
I've always said his sexual orientation is not straight, bi, gay.
It's
Jeff.
just Jeff. Yeah, it's just Jeff.
He has one love, and
I
that's
love
Jeff.
Dean so much. He's
Oh,
my
the Dean is
favorite
great,
character.
Yeah, I do like that it opens up with him with his like note cards. sort
Yeah,
of
it's
thing.
like, I wish you luck.
Yeah. And I do have, before we move on to Special 101, just going back to Jeff's speech, I do love that, of course, he says community because it's the title of the show and they worked it in.
Yes, I was going to say that as well, that I didn't know, or rather I didn't notice, that they said the title of the show in the episode. I was like, cheesy.
Yeah, he's like, you've stopped being a study group
Yeah.
and you've become a community. And
it's
then
like, oh, that's why it made sense
Yep.
to call it community.
And you do hear Shirley's first, like, ooh, that's nice.
I'm not. Yeah, oh, that's nice. I like that. I just realized I'm not wearing my community shirt. I'm pissed.
I am not either. I should have worn my human beings
We clearly made mistakes.
for the next week.
Wait, what color is your shirt? Because mine's blue.
Mine is gray.
Oh, never mind. I thought we had the same shirt.
No, it's a Greendale human being shirt.
Mine is Home of the Human Beings, and it looks like I went to Greendale Community College. Like, a lot of people have always asked me, like, oh, is that the college you went to?
Yeah, I want to get more memorabilia so that people think I do actually go there. But this is actually a good time because I do have a Greendale Community College mug. So yeah, that is one. I actually have like 2 Community mugs for
You
the.
seriously just made me realize that, yeah, I'd like much rather burn my FIU one and get a Greendale jacket.
Oh yeah, I never intend on wearing like any NYU memorabilia, just always Greendale.
Exactly. I'm gonna
Which
shop for one right now.
so clearly we don't have a bias towards the show.
Clearly, we're very like we are critics
Yeah.
right here.
Oh, and I didn't realize when the show aired, it ends before. We'll move on to Spanish 101 after this, but it ends with a dedication to John Hughes because he had just passed away recently when the show aired.
Right.
Which I totally forgot, and I remember watching it live, but I don't think they show that on repeat airings.
That was a little weird. I didn't notice that it had happened so close to
When the show
yeah.
premiered. Yeah, I totally forgot it happened around that time. But obviously you see the influence, not just because of The Breakfast Club, but there's just a total sort of that nature, a John Hughes nature to it a little
Really
bit.
quick,
Yes.
I just went to NBC.com because I'm looking for a jacket for Greendale Community College.
This is happening.
It just goes to show like how terribly they market this amazing show and how awful they are at just knowing their audience and knowing how to sell something that like I scroll down this page and I see freaking like Abed looking like a villain. Straight up. He looks like the villain in this freaking shot where everybody else looks happy and shit and he's off to the side looking like he's done something nefarious.
Especially as the show goes on, I think we'll be able to talk about it more as it goes on, but just like the sort of marketing woes and the ratings woes, but yet the fact that I think it has one of the most dedicated online fan bases of any show out there.
That the show has been saved so many times by its fans.
Oh yeah,
Because that's happened before with a lot of shows, but I think Community has been saved from the brink of destruction.
Exactly.
So many times because we are rather such a freaking amazing fan base.
Exactly. So we'll move on to Spanish 101 because the study group was started in the pilot to study for a Spanish test.
Yeah, that's like the premise of the show. It's pretty fun to go back and realize, oh, they got together because
Spanish
class.
Which introduces, as you said, Ken Jeong as their Senor Chang.
Yeah.
Who I would like to point out, he butchers all of the Spanish that he speaks.
Completely, it's the best thing in the world.
He's always like pronouncing all the H's. He's like you say it like excelente, but then he's like excelente, and just like all this like he just like changes pronunciations every other time he uses a word. It's a really funny just sort of like meta thing, which I don't know how much was him and how much was the writing.
I'm like willing to bet that a large portion of Chang is due to that actor. I don't remember his name.
Ken Jeong.
Ken Jeong. His acting is on point with comedy, so I have no doubt that he has made that character his own.
Exactly. AKA El Tigre, as he calls himself. El Tigre Chino, excuse me.
I found a shirt that I'm going to get you for your birthday, by the way.
Awesome. I will not get anything for you for your birthday.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's a shirt with Abed's face, and then it says, cool, cool, cool.
That's pretty much perfect. Side note, and then we'll get into Spanish 101. I've gotten several friends to start saying cool, cool, cool subconsciously. They don't even watch the show.
There you go. That phrase, cool, 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 when I first started watching Community, did not stop saying it. That was my phrase.
I say it all the time, yeah.
A good 4 years. Like, I couldn't stop.
I still use it. It's like, I can't.
I'll probably get back into saying it now that we're watching this.
Probably. My friend and I do the Troy and Abed handshake, which in Spanish 101 you see the sort of progenitor of it, where they do their talk to each other and they just do like one hand clap.
Their friendship is by far like I think like best friendships in sitcoms are amazing. Like just for everybody loves them. Troy and Abed's in particular, though, I love it so much. It's a special place in my heart for it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So Spanish 101, as you said before, not really like the strongest episode of Community.
Not at all. I watched it and I was like, wow, I remember this being a little better, at least. Like, I'm surprised I kept watching Community after this episode.
Yeah. I think I marathoned it when it was on the air. Like, I recorded a lot and then just watched them together.
That's what happened to me, too. I caught Community like a year late. And somebody told me about the paintball episode.
I started we'll get to it when I started watching the Chicken Fingers episode, which happens a couple before paintball.
That was the one. Okay, well we'll get to it.
We'll get there, but yeah,
that was the one that got me.
That was when I started watching weekly. But so yeah, so anyway, the basis for the Spanish 101 is Jeff is looking to still get with Britta. And
That's
they have
his main goal, literally, throughout the first freaking season, apparently.
Yeah, pretty much. So they're going to have to do partner assignments in Spanish class, and he really wants to get partnered with Britta, but he ends up getting partnered with Pierce despite his best efforts, including trading a shirt with Abed.
Yeah.
But so he and Pierce have to work together, and you get to see more of Pierce being crazy. Meanwhile, Britta sort of brings Annie and Shirley into her world of activism, even though she really isn't much of an activist.
That's a funny thing that I wanted to point out, that is a good commentary on slacktivism.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
Britta says that she wants to like do all these things, which, by the way, in the first episode, she mentioned that she went to the Peace Corps, and that she even got like arrested for protesting or something like that. A very big contrast to her character, like in later seasons, where she talks a lot of shit about how she's so well informed. Yeah, like things are happening in Africa. Like what? Things.
Exactly. That's all I know.
Yeah, and I think this episode is pretty good in establishing that Britta's a little bit of a shit talker. Like,
yeah,
she's a little bit of a hypocrite.
She's doing it to seem cool.
Yeah, and I thought that was good commentary on how even the people that are doing stupid things to raise awareness, like Annie and Shirley, they're at least still raising awareness.
Exactly, despite it being a silent candlelight vigil.
silly thing, but which, by the way, that was a really cute moment too. When Abed realized he was like, these type of conflicts are gonna inevitably bring us together as a family.
Yeah. It's the show that will be sort of peeking out from behind the scenes of a much more traditional show. Mm-hmm. I do think it could have been obviously a stronger episode. We're at the beginning, so it's still trying to find itself. But going back to one thing that really struck me as I wish this were funnier while I'm watching it is the end montage. When Pierce and Jeff are putting on their show.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
So like we'll go back to how they kind of go through it, but they resolve their arguments and put this show on together, and they're really supposed to just say like 5 different sentences to each other in the course of this conversation.
He wants to do this whole fucking thing.
They do a 20-minute presentation that gets them an F and an F minus, and there's fireworks and like silly string and just everything. And it's set to a montage with like a really serious song, and I was just like, I like that they went for something weird, but it wasn't funny to me.
It wasn't. Watching back, it was very clear that something had to have happened in Dan Harmon's life where he suddenly was like, you know what, I'm gonna do the funny shit. I'm not gonna conform, because that montage would have been so funny season 2. It would have been so much better.
I think it would have also if there was just more lead up to it. Like, it feels so out of place.
I guess so as well, because we didn't really see Community as that type of show.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it's only the 2nd episode.
Exactly, but yeah. Until that moment, they didn't give off any hints of them being that wacky of a show. But I guess you got to start somewhere, and they started with that montage. I think that montage was like the beginning of them being like, hey, we do things differently.
We do really weird things, yeah. I do think it would have helped if there was like build up to it, like we saw some of the props in the library or the study room.
That's true. A lot of it was very random.
It came out of nowhere, and like while there were like the idea of it is funny to me, like the idea of them doing this ridiculous presentation, but it just like but just then in execution it didn't like pull off, because like there's also really weird continuity things where like suddenly Annie's involved with it, but then she's back at her desk and all the desks are set normally, but then another time they use them, and there's like desks are overturned, but then everything's back to normal at the end. It just kind of like sticks out after you're watching it again. But so their lead up to it is them kind of reconciling with like who Pierce is. I kind of feel like is the main point of this.
I'd say so, yeah. I think there was a really cute moment where Britta revealed that like Pierce really, really wanted to be friends with Jeff, and that's a good segue. How every episode, the first episodes, are Jeff dealing with these people individually. Like the first episode was him with everybody to kind of introduce the how do you say, the group. But then the second episode deals with him and Pierce, and then it continues until he's dealt with each one individually. Yeah, I think that's a really smart way that Harmon did this.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're starting to see the show go into what the show needs to be. It just needs to go through this like legwork first.
It needs to introduce all the characters and all
Yeah.
that.
And yeah, like not to say that there weren't funny parts in this episode. I do think there are really strong moments. I do think it's
It's still
funny.
funnier than like crap on TV, you know?
Anything's funnier than crap usually.
Yeah, exactly.
Though I do laugh a lot when I go to the bathroom, so who knows. But it's funny that you do see Starburns for the first time.
Yeah, I love it.
And that he's called Starburns because of Senor Chang. It's not like he doesn't refer to himself that way.
Yeah, it begins as like a mean joke.
Yeah. But so you're starting to get to see Pierce as he becomes, and then it also pairs up Troy and Abed for the first time, which leads to the tag at the end of the episode.
¿Dónde está?
La biblioteca.
Me llamo Tim Bum, la araña discoteca.
Discoteca, neca, la biblioteca. Nope, no.
Bigote grande pero manteca.
You don't have the words.
It makes no sense, is the thing. Because I love that rap, and I don't have it memorized because every single word makes absolutely no sense. It is a tragedy. It is like the craziest sentence for somebody that speaks Spanish.
Yeah, and which is why it's great for someone who barely remembers the Spanish he took in high school.
Exactly.
That's
why you could say it normally, and then I struggle because it's like I'm not making any sense.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I can say Los Bigotes de la Cabra es Cameron Diaz, and no one knows the word.
That's like, what?
What is that? It's like the goat's head is Cameron Diaz or something?
Los Bigotes de la Cabra?
Yeah.
First off, I don't know what cabra is because that is not Cuban Spanish. Los Bigotes is the mustache.
The mustache, yeah.
The mustaches are Cameron Diaz. That's basically what you said.
I think it's like the mustaches of the goat are Cameron Diaz.
The goat are Cameron Diaz.
Yeah, which it's so great, and it begins. I don't know where that bit originated. I think it comes from them realizing in that episode that like, hey, these two are working together, and we should like do something with them. And I don't know if it was like he was just like freestyling for fun, or they actually wrote this. If they were freestyling, it's very impressive.
I don't know if they talk about it in the commentary. For that tag, I'm not entirely sure. They have to, right? Because that's like the most famous tag of the series.
Yeah, it's easily one of, if not the most famous tag, and then it also is the basis for like everyone expecting tags on the show to begin. Which also I want to say, because we do get the opening credits for the first time in this episode, where it's the sort of paper craft that has all their names on it. In the pilot episode, it's like this weird thing where it's like a shot of Greendale outside and it's the word community like in bubble letters coming up. It looks like a really cheesy 80s intro, which I believe was done on purpose.
It's probably on purpose.
Yeah, it's really funny that was in the first episode.
A cool tidbit for viewers that probably probably don't know.
Listeners that aren't listening.
Listeners that don't pay attention to us at all. I'm not making any sense. Sorry, we've been podcasting for 3 hours now.
Shh, don't tell them
that. The Chevy Chase, like paper thing, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
It's supposed to have like boobs on it. And
it's
then they had to change it.
Stick figure.
Yeah, they had to change it to just like eyes, the boobs into eyes. Because...
Yeah. I think in this episode, though, if you watch it, at least when I watched it on Hulu, you could pretty much tell they were supposed to be boobs, which is kind of funny. And then I think Ken Jeong's is like a really racist, like Chinese dragon, which was really funny. But yeah, I think it's definitely showing Community going through the growing pains that most great shows have.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, every show has to find itself and its characters in the first season.
Exactly, and I think there's very few shows. I think the tag is really where it's like Community is starting to find itself.
Definitely, yeah.
So,
and which reminds me of how great Troy and Abed tags used to be.
Oh yeah. If they don't get him back for the 6th season, it's just going to be so rough.
Do you think they get him back for the full season though?
I think if they can get him back for like 4 episodes, 4 or 5, I'd be okay.
I wouldn't be okay. I'd be like, oh, love it, please.
I think the problem isn't Dan Harmon. This is going way far in the future, but just really quickly.
I think it's Donald Glover. For sure, he's busy as shit.
Oh yeah, no, it's not. But I think Dan Harmon has said like he wouldn't want to do a 1-episode Troy thing because it's like then the whole episode becomes about him coming back randomly and then leaving.
Yeah, we
randomly.
talked about this. Or rather, you showed me the interview where he says this, that he would want him back for like all of it.
Yeah.
Because it would take up too much time to be like, he's back.
Yeah, I think if he's not back for at least half the season, it'll be an issue. It'll be rough
Dude,
to
I
deal
lose
with.
my shit. I think the day that that's announced, we'll go crazy. We'll be missing each other.
But will be wonderful.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
I lose it. I'd be like,
work will not get done that day.
yeah, that'd be the day where we speculate about what is gonna happen.
What can happen. But yeah, also, so I'm just looking at the ratings for these episodes. The pilot episode got 7.89 million viewers.
You know what's funny about these numbers is that I am a bad judge of them because I've come to realize that I hear 7.9 million, wow, and then apparently no, that's like the 100th most viewed show.
It's not great anymore. It was I forget what rating it was at that point, but it wasn't super high. And then the second episode, which was a week later, shot down to 5.39 million.
And it was a very weak episode as well.
Yeah.
So anybody that did see it probably did not continue.
Yeah, which is funny how obviously rating struggles started from the beginning.
Right.
For the show.
But it wasn't Community's fault.
Rarely, no, and also it's safe to say Nielsen's a very skewed system.
To begin with, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not. But both of these episodes, also to note, were written by Dan Harmon, or at least credited to being written by Dan Harmon. And Joe Russo directed the second one. So there's definitely, you can tell it's sort of a passion for them in the beginning to get it off on the right note that they wanted. Mm-hmm. Which is good to see. I like when you see the creators involved all throughout.
Yeah, which you see a lot of it in Community with Harmon specifically.
Yeah.
He continues to write all through, unless, besides the gas leak. That one.
But yeah, so that's pretty much the first two episodes of the Community. Are you gonna keep watching, or are you gonna jump off?
Yes. No, I'm done. I'm done with Community.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, kind of over it. But yeah, so that was a pilot and Spanish 101. If you have thoughts on either of those episodes, please email us at community. Email us at community.
That'd be great if we had that as an email.
Yeah, just email us at community. No, but so if you have any thoughts on those, or for next week we are going to be watching Introduction to Film and Social Psychology. Yeah, I guess as we should know, besides the pilot, all of the episodes are supposed to be class titles.
I like to point out, by the way.
Yes.
Really, really quick.
Of course.
I should not be hosting these things.
This is
going to be a funny thing. This is going to be a funny thing for viewers. I don't know how long it's been on my face only.
It's just been on your so this will be.
No, not for the majority of it, but at one point I just subconsciously did it. That's how freaking narcissistic I am.
Welcome to the Narcissism Cast.
I don't know how long it's been like that. But viewers will find it funny, so whatever.
And listeners will not know what the hell we're talking about.
Yep. Because we're on YouTube. Go check us out on YouTube.
Exactly. But yeah, so if you have thoughts about these past two episodes or about the next two upcoming episodes, which we will watch for next week, please email us at theverytvpodcast@gmail.com. If you can put Community somewhere in the subject line, so I know, that would be awesome. But we will, chances are I'll still see it anyway. But yeah, we'll read some of those comments on the air, or talk about any questions that you may have, or just things you want to say about a show that we obviously love and we hope you love as well. And if you're also listening to this, hopefully you will listen to the Very TV podcast itself, which debuts every Tuesday on iTunes, so you can rate and subscribe to us there. This will come out on the same feed, so you're welcome to get it there. You can also tweet at us at the Very TV with any of your thoughts on Community, which we will also read on the air. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/theverytvpodcast. We're just going through everything. But you can also talk to us, because we talk about Community plenty on Twitter ourselves. So, Yami, where can people find you?
You find me on Twitter at itsanty, IDSANTY, where I will talk to you about Community if you want to.
And you can find me at JM Dornbush, and I will also blab about Community all the time. I also just realized, did we introduce ourselves? I don't remember.
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did. So yeah, welcome to the mystery show, the mystery cast.
Well, no, you know what? I think we just kind of we kind of just introduced what it was, and we expected people from the Very TV podcast to have already known. Which, you know what? If you don't know us by now, you probably should.
Too late. But no, if you're listening, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. But yeah, so I am Jonathan, and that's Yami.
Yeah, and I'm Yami, and I'm the face that you saw. I really want to know how long it's been my face only.
It's fantastic.
It probably was only like 5 minutes though.
I just hope you didn't have resting bitch face for too much of it.
Probably did.
Yeah,
it
probably.
Just happens. It just...
So this is a wonderful introduction to the world of Community.
Okay, this is the first episode.
It's Growing Pains. It's Growing Pains. Which we should...
Like Community!
Or like Growing Pains, the TV show.
Or like the sitcom, yes.
Yes. Stars Kirk Cameron and...
You have to go
Ashley Johnson. Yeah, let's go on to Growing Pains. So yeah, before we devolve any more, thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with the next 2 episodes. If you have any questions in the meantime, email us, find us on Facebook, subscribe, rate. You're awesome. And we will talk to you guys about Community next week. Cool.
Bye!